Command Control Center in the town of Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow as we begin our coverage of the arrival of 3 new residents to the International Space Station. Good morning to everyone watching on NASA television and on the web as you're looking at a live view from a balcony camera of the cavernous International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Korolyov, where Russian flight controllers are in the midst of monitoring the progress of the Soyuz MS-07 spacecraft for a link-up less than 43 minutes from now to the station's Rossviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. This 2-day rendezvous for the Soyuz vehicle to link up to the International Space Station has been perfect. All of the rendezvous maneuvers to fine-tune the Soyuz's path to the International Space Station have been executed in flawless fashion. Aboard the Soyuz, 3 crew members, NASA's Tingle, Shkaplerov of the Russian Federal Space Agency, Roscosmos, and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Norishige Kanai are strapped into their respective seats in the Soyuz vehicle. Shkaplerov in the center seat is the Soyuz commander. On his left is Tingle as board engineer number 1, and on his right is Kanai in the right seat of the Soyuz vehicle, as was the configuration for launch 2 days ago from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. They have spent the last 2 days, again, executing their flight plan, executing all of the maneuvers required to adjust the Soyuz's altitude to match that of the station. At this moment, they are flying near the coast of Chile, about to make a southwest to northeastern approach that will take them directly across the capital, Santiago, Chile, on this particular orbit of the Earth. Aboard the International Space Station, the 3 crew members comprising Expedition 54 waiting for the arrival of their new resident colleagues, the Russian commander of the space station, Alexander Mazurkin, who took over command of the International Space Station last week with the departure of the Expedition 53 crew, joined by NASA astronauts Mark Vande Hei and Joe Acaba. They will be awaiting the arrival and docking of the Soyuz vehicle to the Rossviet module a short time from now, and then a period of leak checks at both sides of the docking interface and a pressurization of the vestibule, the small passageway on both sides of the docking interface, will precede the opening of the hatches that will enable the station to resume its 6-man presence on board as Expedition 54. Several milestones coming up over the next 43 minutes that you can keep tabs on. The station will arrive in the neighborhood of the International Space Station at 2:23 a.m. Central Time, at which point the Soyuz MS-07 will begin a fly-around with a fly-around angle of about 58 degrees at a distance of some 1,300 feet away from the International Space Station. That will set up the Soyuz in perfect shape for a brief period of station keeping at 2:32 a.m. Central Time, just a few seconds worth of station keeping to enable Russian flight controllers to ensure that they have the correct alignment of the forward docking probe of the Soyuz to the Rossviet module. Then the command on automated approach will be given for the final approach of the Soyuz for its link-up, and again, docking is scheduled approximately 2:43 a.m. Central Time, 3:43 a.m. Eastern Time. As we met 2 days ago at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, this was the scene on Sunday afternoon on the southwest steppe of Kazakhstan, where camels and piglets usually roam. At 1:21 p.m. Kazakhstan time, the Soyuz booster lifted off in single-digit temperatures, brutal cold on the steppe of Kazakhstan, on an 8-minute, 45-second ride to its preliminary orbit. Once the third stage shut down, the Soyuz spacecraft separated from that third stage, deployed its solar arrays and navigational antennas, and began the 2-day journey to begin the trek towards a docking to the Rassvet module that is coming up just a short time from now. All of the Soyuz systems, as mentioned earlier, have been performing in outstanding shape. This docking to restore the International Space Station to a six-man crew comes just 5 days after Randy Bresnik, Paulo Nespoli, and Sergei Rosansky landed. They're now back in Houston and Star City, Russia, respectively, for debriefings and a period of rehabilitation following their 4.5-month mission. The crew on board the station has been extremely busy. Just 3 hours and 40 minutes after the launch of the Soyuz vehicle on Sunday, a SpaceX Dragon cargo craft arrived at the International Space Station and was grappled by Mark Vande Hei and Joe Acaba using the station's Canadarm2 robotic arm from the cupola of the International Outpost, berthing it a couple of hours later to the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module of the International Space Station, and later on Sunday afternoon opened its hatch to begin unpacking some 3 tons of supplies and scientific experiments. They have been busy, that is Mazurkin, Vande Hei, and Acaba getting into that Dragon vehicle, and the unloading of Dragon continues even today during the final stage of the rendezvous by the Soyuz vehicle with the new trio of crew members that will take up residency a short time from now. Also on Monday, the Orbital ATK Cygnus cargo craft was deorbited some 12 days after its departure from the International Space Station. It conducted scientific experiments on behalf of Orbital ATK in the 12 days that ensued from its departure from the International Space Station. So the comings and goings of visiting vehicles at the International Outpost has kept the crew quite busy throughout the course of the last several weeks. The Soyuz vehicle is again commanded by the Russian commander, Anton Shkaplerov. You'll be hearing the call sign of the Soyuz through docking. The call sign is Astreus, named after an astrological deity in Greek mythology, symbolic of the god of the dusk and the wind. That was handpicked by Shkaplerov for his previous mission as a commander of the Soyuz vehicle, and again today commanding in the center seat of the Soyuz MS-07. Also noteworthy today on December 19th, today is the 45th anniversary of the end of the Apollo program, marked by the splashdown of the command module America with Gene Cernan, Ron Evans, and Jack Schmitt aboard to complete the Apollo 17 mission. So one program ending 45 years ago, another program perpetuated today by the impending arrival of 3 new residents to the International Space Station.
And we see the space station in the center of the periscope crosshairs. We copy. And thank you so much. We really appreciate it because we are getting some interference to the video we are receiving right now. So your reports are greatly appreciated. Audio.
And image monitoring.
The Soyuz MS-07 is currently in the midst of conducting a series of what are known as impulse burns, small mid-course correction firings of either the Soyuz main engine or its thrusters, depending on the particular burn in question. This, again, positioning the Soyuz to enter the field of the neighborhood of the Space Station about 14 minutes from now for the start of its fly-around, again at a range of about 1,300 feet away from its docking port at the Rassvet module. This crew will remain attached to the International Space Station with its Soyuz MS-07 vehicle for an extended period of time. Their mission recently extended to a period of in excess of 160 days in orbit. They will not be returning to Earth until June 3rd now, to enable a full science complement for the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency to be completed. The initial duration of this mission had been in the neighborhood of about 120 days, was deemed to be a bit too short to complete all of the scientific objectives. So that mission now extended as Tingle, Shkaplerov, and Kanai will get bonus time on orbit. Their landing now scheduled for June 3rd. on the exterior of the Soyuz, so that view breaking up just a bit. It'll be locked up in just a moment through Russian ground stations and through the tracking and data relay satellite system. We're about 3.5 kilometers away from the International Space Station, continuing to close at a steady rate for a link-up scheduled at 2:43 a.m. Central Time, 3:43 a.m. Eastern Time. The cross-haired engineering view that you're familiar with, it'll come back and it'll be locked up here a short time from now, at which time, and there it goes, you'll see the form and the shape of the International Space Station grow larger in field of view, with docking scheduled approximately 32 minutes from now.
Moscow, this is Astray 1. The range is, with the correction, 3 kilometers, and range rate is minus 8.47.
The International Space Station and the approaching Soyuz spacecraft with its 3 residents on board, currently flying 253 statute miles above the Earth, moving from southwest to northeast, just off the coast of Uruguay. All of the Soyuz systems are functioning perfectly, and again, Anton Shkaplerov, the Soyuz commander, is in the center seat of the Soyuz vehicle. To his left, NASA flight engineer Scott Tingle, and to his right, Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Tingle and Kanai enjoying the first days of their first flight into space, this being the 3rd mission for Anton Shkaplerov.
There we confirm the maneuver, and the space station is at 10:00 right now, and the crew parameters are nominal. So, could you confirm? Yes, we can confirm A3 is illuminated.
Again, this is the view from the external camera on the. Well, you can see in the lower meters per second.
GSO, есть подготовка стабил. GSO, and also prep of the stabilization mode, and then
everything continues to be reported to be in great shape with the Soyuz vehicle. This view from the external camera, as we mentioned a moment or two ago.
In work, GSO, yes. Illuminated, and we confirm GSO. GSO is no longer illuminated, and we have OSK, and we see the maneuver. Also, prep of the stabilization mode is no longer illuminated. We are recording the SKD thruster numbers. The delta V was 5.24. 5.24. Moscow copies.
Время включения СКД
11:13:43 is the time of the thruster activation. We copy 11:13:43. We are done with the maneuver, and the space station is at the center. We are moving on to page 7.6. And we have combined GSO 1, 3, 4, and we confirm acquisition. The range from course date is 1 kilometer, 600 meters, with the range rate of minus 4.14 kilometers. Range is 1 kilometer 500 meters, and a range rate is 4.11 with a minus. Astray NCC Moscow. So what's the quality of the image on the VKO display? If you want, you can play with the AGC mode to adjust. Well, let's try. We are approaching to the space station. So could you please send the R or R5 command? R5, please, in work.
One time. One more. One more. One more.
Speaking in English.
And one more.
Moscow, are you receiving the video image? With some interference right now. But it seems, well, we do see the ISS on the VKO. Awesome. Just do whatever
is
more
Mission Control
convenient for you.
Korolyov. Once again, the path of the Soyuz MS-07 to the International Space Station continues in flawless fashion. Right now, the Soyuz is just over 1 kilometer away from its destination to the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station, closing at a rate of about 3.5 meters per second. At the time of contact and capture that is coming up in just about 26 minutes from now at 11:43 Moscow time, 2:43 a.m. Central Time, the closure rate will be down to just 1/10 of a meter per second. The docking probe will be activated at the forward portion of the Soyuz. After contact and capture, there will be a short period of a couple of minutes to allow the relative motion of the two vehicles to dampen out against one another before the docking probe is retracted to initiate the closure of the hooks on both sides of the docking interface to form a hard mate. The next hour and a half or so after docking will be spent by both crews on either side of the docking interface, Alexander Mazurkin in particular on the station side, and Soyuz commander Anton Shkaplerov on the Soyuz side of the docking interface conducting leak checks to make sure we have a tight seal between the two vehicles prior to the pressurization of the small passageway between the Soyuz and the Rosviet module that will be the precursor to the opening of the hatches.
We are done with the burn.
Just a couple of minutes from now, the Soyuz will begin its fly around of the International Space Station. All of the so-called impulse burns, the small mid-course correction burns, have been executed with no issues reported. The Soyuz in excellent shape. Again, Anton Shkaplerov at the controls. This is a fully automated docking that is governed by the Corps' automated rendezvous system. In the unlikely event a problem would occur with the Corps' system, Shkaplerov would take over manual control of the flying of the Soyuz for a docking to Rosviet, but at this point, all of the Soyuz vehicle systems and all of the operations of the Soyuz vehicle are under the governance of the Corps' automated rendezvous system and the pre-programmed input of all the computer commands for all the thruster firings that have fine-tuned the Soyuz's path to the International Space Station.
Далее 600 метров, скорость минус 1,50.
600 and range rate is minus what, 0.50? Copy.
This view now from external cameras on the International Space Station showing the Soyuz MS-07 as it is now just 560 meters away, closing at a rate of 1.5 meters per second, approaching the neighborhood of the station to begin a fly around of 57.8 degrees in angle at a distance of just 1,300 feet.
Дальность 500 метров, скорость минус 1.44.
Range is 500 meters and range rate is minus 1.44. We copy.
The Russian segment now reported to be in control of the orientation of the International Space Station as the station and the Soyuz vehicle fly 252 statute miles over the South Atlantic, moving from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, approaching the west coast of Africa.
Дальность 450 метров, скорость минус 1.32.
Flight Director Rick Henfling at the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston has just given a final go to his Russian Flight Director counterpart here in Korolyov. Henfling is joined on console by Flight Director Dina Kontela, and at the top of your screen is European Space Agency astronaut Andreas Mogensen, who is acting as the spacecraft communicator, talking to the station crew as is necessary throughout the course of the morning hours.
Дальность 400 метров, скорость минус 1.12. Начался облет.
Moscow, we have started the fly around. We are moving to page 77. The range is 400 and the range rate is 1.24. And the range is 0.38 kilometers. Range rate is minus 1.47. Moscow copies all.
Дальность 360.
Range is 360.
And so, as you heard, the fly-around of the International Space Station has begun by the Soyuz MS-07. Again, all of this under an automated, pre-programmed computer control. Anton Shkaplerov in the center seat of the Soyuz, flanked to his left by Scott Tingle of NASA, and to his right by Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, as they approach what will be their home for almost 6 months.
We see the docking node clearly. Yeah, we'll copy.
Дальность 330 при скорости
303 is the range, and range rate is 0.73.
In this view, in the lower left-hand corner, you're looking at the ISS Progress 67 cargo craft that will undock from the International Space Station on the night of December 27th, completing its mission as it will be deorbited. Another Progress resupply ship resides on the Pirs docking compartment on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment, and there is another Soyuz vehicle, of course, that brought Joe Akaba, Alexander Mazurkin, and Mark Vanderheid to the station back in September.
Monitoring the range and range rate data.
Места выбрано. Хорошо.
We have selected in Audible, and we are in the Rodeka Rus. Could you please turn that on?
Дальность 280.
Range is 280 and range rate is minus 0.58. We copy all.
Russian flight controllers here in Korolyov providing Shkaplerov with range and rate of closure information that matches all of the parameters on board the Soyuz spacecraft. So far, so good. A perfect approach by the Soyuz as it continues its fly around to precisely align itself with the Rosviet module, which will be its port of call for docking coming up just a few minutes from now. The Rosviet module saw the undocking of the Soyuz MS-07 vehicle just a few days ago that brought Randy Bresnik, Paulo Nespoli, and Sergei Rosansky home after their 4.5-month mission on the orbital outpost.
Range is 240, and range rate is 0.2. We copy all.
The Soyuz about halfway around the angle of its fly around to align itself with Rosviet. The Rosviet module is on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station. The Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment is where the Soyuz MS-06 vehicle is currently docked.
The display smaller, and you can send the final approach command. Copy. All right, we are right on the other side of the docking mechanism, and the range is 210 meters. The range rate is 0.3 meters per second. It's got 15 illuminated, affirmative. And after that, off nominal. They're just verifying the command. Moscow. We are performing the roll, and the range is 200 meters, and the misalignment is about 1 square from the SM, and we see that the range rate is decreasing 0.9009 meters per second.
From the Soyuz camera, good view, almost at the center line of the crosshairs is the Rosviet module. The Russian flight controllers here assessing the alignment of the Soyuz spacecraft before the command is given to initiate final approach.
I'll tell you to push the button called pre-chow later.
And the Soyuz has begun a short period of station keeping. The brakes are on, and the Russian flight controllers now in a final assessment of the Soyuz systems before the automated command is given to initiate final approach.
It's a go to send the final approach command, or pre-chow command. So we are sending this command from the info. I have sent the command, a final approach. So the LED is illuminated. We are continuing to monitor the approach. We won't install the dissipating screen this time. Copy. So the command to activate the headlight has been sent. So the headlight is on. We're at page 78 of the procedures. So
flying 253 miles over Western Africa, a great view of the Soyuz MS-07, and as you can see in our dueling boxes here, a view from the Soyuz of the International Space Station and the docking port on the Rosviet module. Final approach is expected just moments from now, docking scheduled at 2:43 a.m. Central Time. We may have a handover between tracking and data relay satellites at the time of contact and capture, unless the docking is executed a few seconds ahead of schedule.
So the closing range is 110 50, and the range rate is minus 0.80.
And final approach now has been initiated, as you can hear. Currently, the Soyuz is approaching the station at a rate of 0.8 of a meter per second.
Дальность 120, скорость минус 0.7.
So the closing rate is 120, and the range rate is minus 0.7.
Мишень в центре. Предел.
The target is in the center, and it's about 2 degrees.
Наблюдаем мишень в центре.
The target.
Just a few hours shy of 2 full days since its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, the Soyuz MS-07 and 3 new residents for the international outpost in the final minutes before they arrive at their home for the next 5.5 months or so, just about 100 meters away from the Rassvet module and a final docking.
And 90 on course, and the range rate is minus 0.5, so the crosshairs are aligned, and the target is in the center. Copy.
Right before contact and capture, the space station will be placed in what is known as free drift. All of the thrusters on the station's Russian segment will be disabled to prevent any inadvertent perturbations of the complex at the time that the two vehicles come into contact with one another. Again, there will be a period of relative motion between the two vehicles of a couple of minutes where the motion will dampen out before the docking probe on the forward end of the Soyuz begins to retract, to pull in the station, if you will, and form a hard mate with the closure of the Soyuz hooks at the docking mechanism of the Rassvet module. Soyuz now less than 60 meters away, closing at a rate of 2 meters per second. That rate significantly decreasing now. The approach rate is governed again by the Corps' automated rendezvous system, and now we are under 1 meter per second of closure rate. And again, at contact and capture, the Soyuz will be traveling at a glacial speed of just 1/10 of a meter per second.
Линейку D. SS. Хорошо.
So it's the line.
The docking mechanism now powered up on the Soyuz.
The range is 40. The target is in the center. The crosshairs are aligned. We are monitoring SSVP. D7, D9, D13, and 17 are illuminated, and we have got there on display 44. Copy, and we are going to the next page of the procedures. Yes, please monitor the approach process. 2 squares, about 30 meters is the range, and the range rate is minus 0.16. The target is just 1 degree lower. Copy. And the crosshairs are aligned.
A great view of the Soyuz MS-07 flying over the unmistakable sands of the Algerian desert, moving from southwest to northeast, now just 30 meters away from docking.
So the docking node is 105 squares. The target is in the center, and the crosshairs are aligned.
Soyuz at the correct closure rate of 1/10 of a meter per second, closing in on 25 meters away.
The docking node is 3 squares, so the range is 20 meters visually, 22 according to course, and the range rate is minus 0.12. So, we are monitoring final approach. There is also a bit roll to the right. The target is moving to the left and a little bit down, just 1 degree. The docking node is 4 squares, so the target is on the left and a little bit lower with a roll of about 4 degrees. Copy.
Just below the circular docking port of Rassvet, you can see the docking target itself. The crosshairs on this external engineering camera on the Soyuz will align with that docking target before the final few feet are negotiated by the Soyuz spacecraft.
So the roll is aligning. Copy. So the range is about 10 meters. Crosshairs are aligned. The target is in the center. Copy.
The station and Soyuz about to cross the northern coast of Africa, about to move over the Mediterranean. This view from the high-definition external viewer camera on the International Space Station.
A little bit of roll, and it is aligning. Copy. We are standing by for contact. 3 meters. The target is in the center. Crosshairs are aligned. So we're at page 80, standing by for contact.
Just about 10 meters separating the Soyuz and the station.
Is the range?
Closing in, standing by for contact and capture of the International Space Station.
Standing by for contact.
Contact confirmed.
Contact confirmed.
Capture confirmed.
Now we have
at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Soyuz MS-07 and the International Space Station flew 253 miles over the boot of Italy.
Mechanical contact is 11:39. So we are monitoring the
and a great view of the newly arrived Soyuz MS-07. Again, docking confirmed at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time. 253 miles over the boot of Italy. A textbook arrival of 3 new residents at the International Space Station.
Tank is 105. In the second, 240. Propellant 492. Copy and recorded the parameters. So we're selecting wide angle lens. It's R7 command. Okay, working. Deactivating the headlight. I have sent this command, so the LED is not illuminated. RPV-1 is closed. We are going to another display. So now the pressure measurement in SA and BO. For 11:41, the measurement is SA pressure 850, and the BO pressure is 852, and power pressure is 846 in the instrumentation compartment. So we are monitoring. So have you started the timer? Yes, I have. Copy that. So we will go to SSVP display for monitoring. So close this screen and transition to SSVP display.
Но у меня картинка просто мишени, и мне дальше надо работать.
Okay, so I'm...
This is Mission Control Korolyov in the wake of the docking of the Soyuz MS-07 to the International Space Station's Rossviet module. The visiting vehicle officer at Mission Control in Houston, Heidi Paris, reporting that the Soyuz hooks are now driving to form a hard mate between the two vehicles.
So the hooks are open, not illuminated. So D15 is the hooks closed. We're standing by. Standing by for this command to go through. So we continue retraction, then SSVP deactivation after that, and then there will be a 15-minute measurement and reporting to MCC Moscow. That's our plan of action.
And the visiting vehicle officer now reports that the Soyuz hooks are closed. We have a hard mate now between the Soyuz MS-07 and the International Space Station's Rossviet module, completing a flawless approach and a flawless 2 days of flight for the Soyuz vehicle following its launch on Sunday afternoon from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. So over the course of the next orbit, or hour and a half or so, the crews on both sides of the docking interface, that would be Alexander Mazurkin, Joe Akaba, and Mark Vandehei on the Rossviet side of the docking interface aboard the station, and the Soyuz crew that just arrived, that would be Anton Shkaplerov, Scott Tingle of NASA, and Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, will conduct leak checks on both sides of that docking interface to verify that we have a tight seal and to enable the pressurization of the small passageway at the hatchway, if you will, between Soyuz and Rossviet with pressure to be equalized on both sides of the docking hatches before the hatches are to be open. So just to recap, the Soyuz had 2 days of an uneventful ride and approach to the International Space Station, a fully automated docking occurring at 2:39 a.m. Central Time, 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time, just a few minutes ago, as the station and Soyuz flew 253 miles over the boot of Italy. Hooks now closed, a hard mate between the two vehicles. With that, let's offer just a programming note coming up at 4 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back on the air with our hatch opening and welcoming ceremony broadcast as the hatches will swing open between the Soyuz and the station, enabling the crew members to unite and to begin their joint mission together as a six-man Expedition 54 crew. We are also expected to be joined during our hatch opening coverage by a distinguished guest, the U.S. Ambassador to Russia, the Honorable John Huntsman, who will be with us here at the Mission Control Center in Korolyov, and who is also expected to offer his well wishes to the crew at the time of hatch opening that is scheduled at approximately 4:35 a.m. Central Time, 5:35 a.m. Eastern Time. Once again, a flawless textbook rendezvous and docking of the Soyuz to the International Space Station. It just couldn't have gotten any better. We'll see you back a short time from now at 4 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, with our hatch opening and welcoming ceremony broadcast. For now, this is Mission Control Korolyov.
So we are deactivating SSVP mode. Moscow.